I was able to attend and take that virtual tour. That was pretty awesome also. So
And it's funny because like that museum particularly doesn't really have a lot of her artwork. All her art is being exhibited through other museums right now. And so like if you go there, I think some people have that expectation, like, oh, I want to see some. We do see like 4 or 5, but or the smaller ones, but like the ones she's known for, they're out at some other museum around the world. I have to like each year I have to go like Google search like who has a collection now and stuff like that.
We were actually there last year with Dr. Rodriguez last year because we were trying to put together the Mexico program, and it was really amazing just to be able to be there and see all her artwork and the history. And there's like the wheelchair that they had that she used and that. So it was interesting, and I wish we could have spent a little bit more time. We had a bit of
more on a personal level. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was really interesting. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I got a lot of. I didn't realize there were so many people that were on there. I got messages later on.
Yeah, we had like close to 60. We had close to 60.
Wow, that's a good turnout.
Yeah. Good morning, everyone. We're gonna be waiting a little bit more, about 5 more minutes, since the session was scheduled at 10 o'clock. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. I was like, I also invited my students to the other sessions too. Because I know I teach the MOS, but I also teach the intro to humanities. So that one goes, we talk about world cultures and histories. And so I was like, if I was looking at the other days, and I was like, oh, you know what, y'all can do that. So I gave them more options.
Yeah, today we have a virtual tour of, let me see, there's some in Italy. Let me see. I think, was it Italy or I can't zoom out of it. Get out of here. Let me look on the website just to kind of mention those.
Is that for this afternoon?
Yes.
It's the Akio Japanese woodcut demonstration.
We have.
Oh yes, I did see that.
Yes, I have that on my calendar too. So
okay,
I'm
great.
to attend that as well.
I want to join all of them.
I know. Hello?
This is a great idea. I mean, I know we couldn't go and we're so sad about it, but I mean, just I thought when we did this, we were talking about this, I didn't know how it was going to come out, but now I've seen like different stuff now. I'm like, oh wow, like it was really a good alternative.
Yeah, it really was. We're getting really good positive feedback from even students. So it's really good. Maybe we can even do some sessions maybe in the spring semester, like spread them around.
Yeah.
And that would probably be a good way to promote study abroad as well, or just international education. Today's Wednesday.
Wednesday, yeah.
We have the woodcut demonstration with Professor Booth. We have a virtual tour of the Basilica and the Vatican. That's today from Italy.
Oh, that's right. That's the other one I wanted to do.
And that one is really nice too.
Yeah.
The origami demonstration by Professor Kawabe. And then we also have Genie 101. That is a new initiative, a new program that we're going to be launching. And anybody that we're looking for volunteers or anyone that is interested in volunteering or getting involved, even students can get involved. They'll be talking a little bit more about that program there. And that one's scheduled at 2 o'clock. And then we have building partnerships abroad as well this afternoon. That one's more for faculty. And then we have Zumba at 6 o'clock.
I was gonna say I'm gonna join. I think I'm gonna join tomorrow with Lori. I mean, as a visitor, not as a presenter. Because I know she's going to Theater Kwan, so I want to see how she's doing. Yeah. Okay. I mean, a support system.
Yeah, of course.
We support each other.
Sure. Good morning, everyone. We're going to wait about another minute to allow more to come in Hmm. Can I just ask really quick, how many are in the guests? How many students do we have today, and who's a student? Can you just kind of raise your hand really quick if you're a student? Okay, Gabriela. Okay, welcome. And then staff and faculty, I believe everyone else is, okay. Okay. So I think we're going to go ahead and start now since it is 10 o'clock. Welcome. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to International Education Week. Today is our third day. And with us today, we have Professor Iznaga, who is a faculty at Palo Alto College. She is the Mexican American Studies professor there. And today she will be providing us a virtual tour of the National Anthropology Museum in Mexico City. And the museum is considered one of the most comprehensive natural history museums, and is the famous institution houses 4 square kilometers of exhibits in 23 exhibition halls. Professor Iznaga, welcome, and thank you for joining us today.
Hello, everybody. My name is Magdalena Sinaga. I teach Mexican American Studies at Palo Alto. And so I'm going to take you through the National Anthropology Museum. I just want to give one note. Some of the rooms through the virtual tour are not up. So they only have like the two main like popular rooms, like the Aztec room and the Mayan room. So in some of the other rooms, I might have to do like a video tour instead of like the actual virtual tour. So I just want to give y'all a heads up before I start it. I've done this presentation before. So hopefully y'all, we did a great job that first time around. So hopefully it works out this time too. Maria, I'm trying to share screen it says I've been disabled. Let's see. Oh, there it goes. Okay. Okay. One second, let me just redo the setting. There it goes. Okay, so before I start, I want to go through some vocabulary words. If you've been my former student, you know I do this all the time just to make sure everybody's on board on what we're seeing and understand what we're seeing. So the museum itself has two different floors. We have the bottom floors, which are the archaeology rooms, right? What is the meaning of that? The scientific state of material remains, such as tools, pottery, jewelry, stone walls, and monuments of past human lives and activities. The top floors, which is ethnography rooms, are the study and systemic recording of human cultures, right? The word Nahuatl is the language spoken by the Mexica, which are also known as the Aztecs. And you're going to see a lot of Sala de Museo, Sala de Gold Coast, Sala de Mexica. It's basically the museum or hall room of that specific culture, right? And El Paraguas, that is known as the umbrella. All right, so who created or the building architect of the National Museum of Anthropology is one of the most popular, biggest visited sites in Mexico. Well, it was Pedro Ramirez Vasquez. He was the lead architect. However, there was other architects that he hired under him. Pedro is known for many architecture buildings around Mexico and in the world. I could have a whole list and do a whole thing on just him, but just some places that y'all might have known and other tourist sites that you might have visited or known about. Top left, Studio Azteca. The bottom left, the Leadership Palace of San Lázaro. It's like a House of Representatives. And then the most popular one, of course, the Basilica of Guadalupe. It's not the original building, but it's the new building created because of the old building it's sort of sinking, so they had to create a new one. So these are probably more iconic. He has been like cabinet in the Olympics. I think at one point he even designed their office building of the Olympics. So he's been involved internationally as well. So this is the front entrance of the museo, and then in the right picture you see the courtyard with the umbrella. Um, the reason I put the pictures up is because, of course, like I told you, the virtual tour doesn't allow me go into this certain section of the building, but as you can see, it's massive. And if you are going to visit, I would at least take about 4 hours if you want to see the whole thing.
Yeah.
Its opening date was in 1964. It is located in a bushy area. It's called Chapultepec Park.
Over there.
I think I'm getting like outside noises.
I'm having a tour of the Museo Nacional de Antropología in Mexico.
And
Uh,
also
I- if everybody can turn off their mics. um, so in these anthropology museum, right, we have several rooms, right? As of last week, when I was going through the press conference, they did close it because of COVID. It looks like they're gonna redo some of the rooms. It's gonna look a little bit different, so I'm excited to see what else they're doing, because the building's been closed for quite a while now. So we'll see what happens. But that was of last week. You see the grills on the sides, on the top left and right. Those were influenced by Mayan architecture, and Pedro did that on purpose, to give it that feel. And even when you enter the museum, in the rooms, you're going to feel that that sense of culture within each of the rooms. Here's the blueprint. The bottom left, sorry, the left side is the bottom level, and then the right is the top floor. Right, so this is the Paraaguas, which is in the central courtyard. This is probably the most Instagrammable place at the museo. Most people go to this automatically. It is something quite unique. And see who were the designers. Pedro hired the two brothers, Jose and Tomas Chavez Morado. Jose is mainly known for his paintings and murals, and then Tomas Chavez with his sculpting. They've done other monumental work in Mexico as well. There's a little poetic philosophy through the paraguas. It is made out of bronze, and it also lets us display the four cardinal points of the universe direction, and that's real central to Mexican Aztec philosophy, because we're going to see that same idea again. All right, so let me take you through the virtual tour of the Mexico room, or the known as the Aztec room. So let me hop onto that one. Okay, so this is the main. This is not the main sculpture you might see in the room, but this is the one that stands out as soon as you enter the room, and this is probably the most popular artifact to see at the whole museum itself. I have my notes on it, so we'll go through that over the sunstone in a little bit, but I also want to show you how it originally looked. It was colorful with the reds and golds and aqua. Let's see, I also want to show you, I wish I could make this bigger for y'all. Let me see if I can go into the. I won't go over this, but this is also known as the Tizok. I'm trying to find you the other sculptures that we'll talk about. This is Guadalupe. She's another popular sculpture, a fertility goddess that is well documented in Aztec codexes. So we will be talking about her too. And then let me go through another area of it's the same room. Here we go. Oops. We will be talking about this. This is the feather headdress. This is actually not the original, but it is a replica. So we'll be talking about this. This is lately it's in the last year has been very controversial. But I'll get into that in a little bit. But they do have it displayed here. So those are the main, I would say, the most talked about artifacts in this particular room of the Aztec. As you can see, there's a lot of artifacts that are built from basalt um, that were used in a lot of the pre-Columbian works. Some of the artifacts as well are part of what were redesigned once they got colonized by the Spanish. So they do have a section that shows that or parts of that. But as you can tell, it's a pretty big room. Let's see. Right. So a little bit about the Mexica. What's their story, right? It's known that they came from the area of Aztlan, which is which Chicano scholars call now the Southwest. They traveled south and arrived in the Valley of Mexico, which is the Valle de Anagua, right, around mid to 1200s. Around a series of islands in the middle of a series of lakes, they searched to sign an eagle perched on a cactus with a serpent in its beak, which is the symbol you see on the Mexican flag. This would indicate they were in the right place. The prophecy came to pass. They would settle on the Swiping Island on Lake Texcoco. They established Tenochtitlan, which is the Aztec capital. Right. So a little bit more about the sunstone. Its Nawa name is Stona. It's also known as the calendar stone, but it's much more than a calendar in itself. There's a lot of philosophy, a lot of a universal thinking in this. So it's much more. So that's why I particularly like to use the word sunstone. It's a book of records, the passing of days of the sun. It's also a symbol of movement. You either call it Olin or Oin, which is known as this movement of seasons. So a little bit about the central images of the Oyin. Its face represents the creation, destruction of the world. The Aztecs believed that the world was it got destroyed 4 other times, and in their present era they were living in the fifth sun. So each era was known as the sun. This will be sun number 1, number 2, number 3, and number 4. And this, which scholars believe to be Tonatu, um, or they also call them the Nawaoyin, is considered to be the fifth era, right? We know it's one of the gods because of the ear spools on his ears, and his arms or his hands, if you want to say, gripping, they believe, which might be hearts, at least scholars believe. It is an earlier version of the god Huitzilopochtli, which is the main god of the Aztecs. So this is like the earlier version or earlier name of it. Each of the gods and goddesses and deities, they have multiple names depending on which particular culture is in charge or involved with that particular god. And so it kind of evolves, but most of the time they have the same identities. It just might evolve just a little bit. um so a little bit about the 4 quadrants or the 4 eras of the sun, right? We have the jaguar. So they believe the era, the world was destroyed by fierce jaguars. Second, the earth was destroyed by winds. Third, the earth was destroyed by rains of fire. And then fourth, the earth was destroyed by water, which I have to say, this water element is probably similar stories have come across the world. And so it's not unusual for me to see that the Aztecs And now what people have the same belief of the destroyment. So a lot of people ask me, so why were the Aztecs killing so much? Well, it's because of this. They already knew that the world had been destroyed, and then they knew that their gods had done sacrifice. I mean, this particular god, it's he had to die and relive every morning. So they knew that for him to succeed, and for him to be to sacrifice himself, because humans have to do their own sacrifice, and that could be with animals, it might be with humans, or etc., etc. Right. The position of the calendar, or the sunstone itself, it's in 4 quadrant areas, which are, let me see if I can have it on the other picture, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, the 4 corners. Well, Mexico City, or Tenochtitlan, which is the old Aztec name for it, it is set up that way. So if we have a closer look, north, south, west, to east. Let's move on to Coahuila. Her earlier name, just as what Tapochi had, is Cordoxofu. She is who is the dominion over serpents. Coalica is her Aztec name. So you will see a lot of structures inside the Museo of Coahuila. This is the biggest and probably the most popular and most talked about in a lot of Chicano studies, at least over here. But once you go to the Museo, they have smaller versions. She is the creator goddess, light and dark. She's the earliest Mexican fertility and earth goddess. Um, she is the celestial deity. She is the mother of Huitzilopochtli. She is the mother of Coyacuacli. She's also known as Tonancy. She also has multiple names. What are her other names? As a reminder, like I said, they work in dualities, right? So her other names are Tratzlato and Chiquacol, right? Tratzlato is her darker and disempowered sinister self, and then Cuitlacol is her good mother self. So she has those both elements. As you can see, the hands and hearts and skulls around her neck, a double-headed snake, and her snaky skirt, right? The feather headdress. It's the replica of the original. The original is actually in Vienna. As of today, Mexico's still trying to get the original back. I was looking last month online that President Lopez Obrador he tweeted that Vienna is having the headdress like they don't want to let it go. Like they still keep it. He's recently asked for it back. Back in 2010, 2012, they had researcher scholars and experts from Mexico and Vienna go look at it, and they both concluded that it was very hard to bring it back because it might break apart. And that's been the Welts Military Museum's argument for at least the last 10 years. So it's become a little controversial again, like I said, because he brought it back up, the issue. And so I don't know if Mexico will ever get it back. I hope one day they do. I mean, he was trying to get it back for next year, which would be the 200 years anniversary of independence. And so he was trying to get it back for that, but we'll see in the future. Um, what has Vienna done? Well, since the controversies happened, like after 2010 to 2012 analysis of the artifact itself, they have allowed Mexican citizens to enter free to this particular museum, and so they're able to see the headdress for free. Although it is a long trip to get there, right? So how did it get to Vienna? Well, it has a long story, but it is believed that Hernan Cortez had transferred to Spain. Um, at the time, they thought it was one of Montezuma the second headpiece. After they done many research on it, it's not Hernan. I mean, it's not Montezuma's headpiece. However, they do think it's one of the high priestess that were in the same circles and was created by the Amanteca. So if you want to look at the original, to the right, it's the original. And so what Mexico tried to do is replicate it. And so if you want to see, you're going to have to go to the other museo. Let's move on to the Sala Teotihuacan. I want to say tomorrow, my colleague, Dr. Rodriguez, she's actually going to go to Teotihuacan. And so if you want to do the actual tour with her on site, you can. The museo just has information on it, and so they kind of replicate the room of it. There's not a lot of stuff known about these people. It's been very hard finding stuff over the years. They've done a lot of research, so they're still doing some excavation on it and archaeology on it and trying to find these places. I'll be talking about this.
La Sala Teotihuacan muestra el gran desarrollo cultural de esta urbe del Altiplano Central, que cobró auge durante los primeros 100 años de nuestra era, hasta llegar a ser la ciudad más planificada e influyente del período clásico. A lo largo de 7 siglos, a partir del inicio de nuestra era, Teotihuacan fue una extraordinaria ciudad, que no solo fabricaba en sus talleres artesanales los utensilios necesarios de la vida civilizada, sino que llegó a convertirse en un centro de producción de grandes obras artísticas. Aquí Asimismo,
so that gives you the gist of the room. A lot of these videos I'm getting from Ina, that is Mexico's main archaeological society. You can't build inside Mexico City without them. They have to excavate. They have to make sure that nothing historical is underneath. Mexico's very protective of their of any of their artifacts yet not found, and so Ina is one of really have dominated making sure to be very protective. So, but they're very good at their archaeology is very good at keeping us updated and making videos and stuff like that. So a little bit, Teotihuacan is known as the city of the gods. It was settled by 400 BC. City was excavated in and later in the 60s. Places that you would want to see, and I'm pretty sure Dr. Rodriguez is going to take you through there: the Pyramid of the Moon, the Pyramid of the Sun, the largest structure in the Western Hemisphere. It's the one I'm going to talk about is the Temple of Quetzalcoatl. So if you saw in the little video, they did a replica of this, right? The original colors, right? We have them red, turquoise, right? You won't see those colors anymore. This temple is also known as the Frente Emplumada. It's a replica of the original. The heads were added during the temple's Quetzalcoatl's construction in the 3rd century. They believe these ones right here are Quetzalcoatl. I think all scholars have agreed with that. It's the second image, which you see here. It looks like a crocodile. It could be a snake. They kind of left it to, it might be Tlaloc, the god of rain. I personally don't think it is. I'm more on the side, it's either the god Cepatli or the fire serpent Ziocotlo. It's either, to me, because of the features, I believe it's more in this setup. I've seen a lot of structures that are Tlaloc, and I can't find them here. It's just an earlier version of Tlaloc had that crocodile look, and so that's why some scholars believe it might be it. Like I said, we don't have a lot of information about this one because the city was destroyed. It became like a pilgrimage for Aztecs to go, and all these names that you see here, Tenochtitlan and all that, was actually given by the Aztecs. We don't know their original names. We don't know the language they spoke. It's sort of like a hidden culture. It was located northeast of Mexico City. So hopefully when you go, if you're able to do it tomorrow with Dr. Rodriguez, she can take you through the pyramids. Let's look at the Sala Maya. And this one, I do have the virtual tour. Let's see. Let me erase this one. All right, so here's the Sala Maya. I don't think it's as big as the Aztec room. Oops. All week I've been practicing with these. I remember when we did the Frida house, I told Dr. Rodriguez, go ahead and do the Google search because this one's a little bit harder for me to scroll. But I was practicing last night again. So there's similarities that you see in the other pre-Columbian sculptures. I'm actually going to show you. They don't have it. I try to find it. The virtual tour, separate room. Let me find at least the entrance to that room. That's underneath, and it's under King Pakal, which is the more popular thing to see at the Mayan room. It's weird that they don't have it on the virtual tour. So to see Pakal, you would have to go down these steps. Let me see if I can show you this area. I like how they replicate some of the temples in the walls. It really makes you feel like you're there. I wanted to show you another image, although I'm not going to talk about it, but it's another popular one, the Chakmu. Let's see if I can get him up here. Where did he go? Can't find him now. Yeah, there's another popular artifact here too. I must have lost it. Let me see. Oh, here's the Chakbu. Yeah, you might see this in several other areas of the Mosea. The Chakbu is it was used for sacrifice, but they're very popular with tourists trying to find them. And you might see them even in other areas of Mexico. It's a very popular symbol of the artifact, but I don't think a lot of people know what it means. So let's go back to the PowerPoint. So who were the Maya? They discovered and accomplished many things. They existed between 200 to 1200 AD. They did agriculture, astronomy, architecture, art and science, art, music, dance, building, construction, cities of many thousand residents, city planning, urban and rural, engineering, irrigation, mathematics, philosophy, pyramids, and sculpture. I actually had to shorten the list. I had a longer list. They developed an accurate solar calendar, and they designed many of Mexico's popular pyramids and archaeological sites. Some of them are also in Central America. Bonham Park, Chichen Itza. Chichen Itza is one of the wonders of the world. So if you ever have a chance to go, you should see that. Copan, Palenque. Palenque is another popular one. Tajín, Tacao, Tulum, Exum. Some of these the public does not have access to because they're still doing some archaeological work on it. So the one at the Museo that I think everybody loves to go see is this room right here, the recreation of Pakal's tomb. The tomb of one of the most important rulers of the Mayan. He has several names: Kinech Pakal, Pakal the Great. he was king for 68 years. He started at the age of 12 until his death at the age of 80. He was very loved. There's other kings I've talked about, but none as Pakal. Longer than any other ruler in ancient Maya. The tomb was not discovered until 1950. People already had found, archaeologists had found Palenque, but they did not know where his tomb was. In 1950, they discovered it. So they did a replica of that in this room. You can also see his death mask. I don't know if you can see in this little picture down here. When they found him, they found it with the death mask. And here it tells you what happened to Pakal, right? He goes underneath. A lot of these pyramids have like underwater caves. They believe that was the underworld. But from there, Pakal's body would transfer through the underworld, and then he would go into the next phase of ever existing, right? So becoming more influential, more powerful of a deity. Let's move on to the Sala Costa del Golfo. This is the Gulf Coast of Mexico. This is where you'll find your Veracruz area. Let me see.
En esta sala se exhiben obras que representan el esfuerzo humano de miles de años. La región de la costa del Golfo de México se caracteriza por la gran diversidad de recursos naturales, por el alto grado de desarrollo de sus civilizaciones y por la coexistencia e interacción que mantuvieron los pueblos que la habitaron a lo largo de su historia. Desde el preclásico, sobresale la cultura olmeca por sus logros tanto en el campo del urbanismo como en lo económico y social, destacándose también en lo artístico, cuyo tema central fue el hombre. Durante el período clásico se distinguen las culturas del centro de esta región, especialmente por su escultura en barro, que formaba parte de las ofrendas funerarias, y por su sorprendente desarrollo urbano. Al norte de esta región se asentaba la cultura huasteca, misma que dejó testimonios escultóricos en piedra que adquirirán relevancia durante el período posclásico, con una influencia que se extenderá a otras regiones culturales.
I'm gonna cut it short. We're going to talk about the more popular pieces of the region. So the Olmecas is the oldest of the pre-Columbian. So I kind of went backwards. If you notice, from Aztec, Teotihuacan, the Mayan, and then the Olmeca. The Olmecas are called the mother culture, La Cultura Madre, is the center of Olmec civilization, which is the region of Veracruz. They existed between 1200 BC to around 100 BC, covered around 7,000 square miles, developed a system to measure time. They are in the pre-classic period. So at the Museo, they own 2 of the colossal heads. We know of 17. So we have, actually, I think this is colossal head number 2. And hold on. No, okay, I was right. Colossal head number 6, yes. Scholars believe they represent rulers, and they all have distinctive features to those rulers. We know they're rulers because, once again, with the ear spools, some of these colossal heads have been damaged. We're not too sure if they were damaged at that time. Like, say a ruler passed away and another person was going to come up and take rise to that territory. They didn't know if it was destroyed by the second ruler or the following ruler, or destroyed over time because it was not cared for. It's still a mystery. You will find 10 of those Olmec heads come from this area called San Lara. So 4 come from La Venta. La Venta, those colossal heads When they found them, they're almost at the entrance and end of each of the cities or the territories, almost signifying like if others were to come through that you're entering a specific territory. Um, and so we haven't found anything since 1994. It doesn't mean that there isn't any more left. We just haven't found any more. And let me show you the other one, this one. So these two, you can tell how one of them's been really beat up, damaged over time, and the other one has not. My suspicion is that this particular Lord was probably well liked between or well liked with his people, and possibly that's why he was taken care of versus this other one might have been damaged for it could have been several different reasons. But like I said, you can find them outside of the museo. But this is another location where people like to take photographs with these large colossal heads. Yep, and that should be it. Thank you very much. I believe Maria told me you wanted to do questions at this specific time.
Yes, we can open it up for questions. If anyone has any questions, you can put them in the chat or unmute yourself, or you're welcome to do so right now.
Does anybody have a question? I can't see the.
I have a question. Do you know what happened to the Aztecs? Why they ended at 1200?
Oh, well, because the Spanish came in. They destroyed. You know what? I didn't show you. Let me see if I can go back. See, I like the video because it goes through the area where the virtual tour. I'm like, I have to maneuver that little thing. But let me see if I can pick it up. They on at the museo. They actually have the way the town was replicated during the time that Hernan Cortes came in. Let me see if I can get it. It's in a little table. Y'all should have seen me last night. I told Dr. I was like, I don't know how you do it. This thing. See if I can get things in this room right here. Oh. Where is it? Oh, this is a Mayan. Mayan. Where you go? Now that I need it. It was they do have it displayed. It's the way the what they call the zoological, mainly where all the presidential buildings reside. They have that area used to be where Templo Mayor, where the Aztec rulers resided, and there's two sections to that Templo Mayor. One section's for the god Huitzilopochtli, and the other one's Tlaloc. A lot of the sacrifices were done there, but it took up the whole internal region of that area of Tenochtitlan. It was a massive site. They're still digging in that area. Like when tourists can go and look at the archaeology site, but they're still digging in there. I think this year recently they found the area where they had Montezuma, where Hernan Cortes had entrapped Montezuma. They barely found it. I think earlier in this year they were looking for that room. But the Spanish did everything possible to destroy it. Versus like, because when I taught in Peru for the summer 2013, I went to see how the Spanish recreated some of those archaeological sites where a lot of the Inca had their main temples. But the Spanish, they built on top. They built their cathedrals and the churches on top. But with the Aztecs, they just completely destroyed it. They wanted to hide it away. They used bits and pieces to recreate other buildings for themselves in there. So they really wanted to hide any evidence of the Aztecs because they were such a powerhouse. I mean, some of the descriptions from what I've read from some of the Spanish that were there, because a lot of them respected Montezuma II. Like they didn't really want some of the soldiers didn't really want to hurt him because they thought they were in some dream when they entered the area. They had never seen floating gardens and the water's so clean, like the neighborhoods, and they hadn't seen that in Europe. And so but Hernan Cortez, know that Montezuma had a lot of power over the Aztecs, so he destroyed everything from them. And in fact, this one was actually buried. First, they had it thrown in some ditch near the Zoloco, and then decades later, a priest has it buried, and it's not found until 1790. And when they find this and the Coalicuit sculpture that I talked about, the goddess serpent. They took this one out and hanged it at one of the metropolitan cathedrals, and then later they sent it to a university, which becomes the foundation for the Anthropology Museum before this location. And so it took many centuries just to get this back. And then the Coalicuit sculpture, they had to refine it and house it in a safe spot as well. But they did their best just to hide any evidence they had. I wish I can find that. I don't know why it's not coming up. I feel like I'm going through oh, here it is. Okay. Here you see it. So this is like the central, this will be like where the zoological area is now. This is the main Templo Mayor. And like I said, this side will represent Huitzilopochtli, the other side will represent Tlaloc. So if you go to Mexico, this is all like destroyed. You're walking on top of the archaeological area. Like they're trying to find, so they have bits and pieces of each of these areas on here. Even on top they have like bits and pieces, but most of all this is just like destroyed. It's underneath the city, and it's taken like centuries just to recover everything. Does anybody else have a question?
That's great. Thanks.
Thank you. Does anybody else have any questions? I wish we had I wish this will allow me to go outside of the room. As you notice, like in the videos, so you're walking through the courtyard, and so you get to choose like which room you want to go into. So it's easily accessible in that way, versus like trying to find everything. I would also encourage you all to visit the top rooms, the ethnography rooms. It has a lot of previous indigenous cultures and current indigenous cultures of Mexico. They try to replicate almost exactly as they are currently. They'll even invite some of those individuals to go visit the museum to make sure they have it correctly. Because they're very we call it, they're very pro-indigenous and trying to save those cultures of Mexico. And so they really advocate that at the museo. I'm not sure when they're going to open again, and hopefully soon. I would like to see what the new changes are. They have a restoration team that works on all this stuff every Monday. They have their own departments. There's some stuff they keep separate from the public. They don't want it to get ruined. They might change out or lend some stuff to other museums. But pretty much like these big ones, you're not gonna find them outside of Mexico. You're gonna have to go to Mexico to see them.
There's a question in the chat, Maggie.
Yes.
El Tajín is located where in Papantla?
Oh, you know what? I was gonna add that map. Let's see. Maybe I can pull it up. Let's see. Let's see if it allows me. I'm gonna escape from this one and then pull it up. Let me see. Maybe they have. Let me see if I can. I wonder if they have the. Oh, it didn't come up. Okay. It's weird. They have the land of the gods, but they don't have Tajín. Sorry.
Okay, it says in southern Mexico. It doesn't have.
Yeah, and I believe that's one that you can visit. You, if I remember, you couldn't visit that one.
Southern Veracruz. She's asking where is it located?
Oh, like in the location, like Veracruz.
Veracruz. I was just
yeah.
looking at, okay.
Yeah, I was gonna see if I could pull up the map, but yeah, they don't have it here on the. Yeah, it's located in Veracruz. I was gonna show you, but they don't have it here on the Google Arts and Culture. Some of them they do, not all of them.
Are most of the museums government owned?
Oh, yes. Anything, especially anything with INA, they're pretty much government owned. There's some stuff like the one I did the presentation on Monday on Frida. That's they have their own board and committee. So a lot of like the artists or patrons at the time that were popular, they have their own like people that they either the artist set aside, like Diego set aside certain people to take care of Frida's house. But for anything archaeological, either the sites themselves or parts of pre-Columbian, it has to go through the government, through INA.
Thank you.
Right.
I think Ronnie was on for a minute there.
Yeah, good morning. I just popped in. I was in another one. It ran long. I was trying to fight my way out of there, but it was so good I couldn't leave. So
I was with you. I had to leave early. I was with you. I had started with that session with you.
So I'm just getting